Welcome to yet another episode of Applied Salesforce. In this episode, I shall walk you through a micro project warranting the use of Lightning Data Service, Notifications Library, and the page reference types for navigation. Without much ado, let's look at the micro project requirement. Kali, the VP of Sales at upquotient.com, a career transformer and an amplification company, based on the inputs from his sales agents, has entrusted you, the seasoned Lightning experienced developer, to implement the below business requirements. The first one is to find a quick way to create and associate a contact to the account concerned right inside the account record page. That's the first one. Typically, creation of a contact and associating the contact. So, the agents wanted to do it quite rapidly. The second one is provide the agents a notification message when the contact gets saved. And Kali wanted you to explore all the possible options pertaining to the same. And the third requirement, automatically navigate to the contact record page. So once a contact gets created successfully, you wanted to show the message to the agents and automatically also take the agents to the contact record page, allowing the agents to enrich the contact record that just got created. Okay, so pretty good. All these three requirements sounds promising, and it certainly eases the the productivity, I would say, the workload of and improves the productivity and eases the workload of agents, because the it really avoids the multiple clicks. So that's fantastic. We understood the crux of it. You understood the crux of the requirement. And after, as usual, after thorough analysis and deliberation with Kali, you jotted down the design, which includes the below artifacts. You decided to implement a Lightning component, and specifically leveraging the Lightning data service, the record edit form component under Lightning data service bucket. And you decided to use this because when you use the Lightning data service, the layer, it allows you to completely avoid writing the Apex controller. Okay, your CRUD operations could be performed even without writing a single line of Apex code. It is performant, and some of the benefits after reading, right? So you see that it is highly performant because there is absolutely uh, no overhead of the request hitting the server multiple times. As far as this Lightning data service is concerned, it combines the request from multiple components within the page. And if all the components are, let's say, requiring the same record which is already available on the page layout on the page, it doesn't really, you have 10 different components in the page and 10 different components display the same record in different dimensions. It really doesn't require 10 independent server calls. The calls from these components are merged, and only a single call is made to the server. Once the record gets picked up, it is cached, and subsequent calls for the same record doesn't really hit the server. It just pulls it from the cache. So that's another advantage. And the third one, as you understood after sifting through several documents, is the UI inconsistencies. You have 10 different components displaying the same record in different dimensions. If one of the components updates the record, right, other components still shows the stale data, right? So that is completely avoided because LDS inherently has this notification mechanism. It notifies all of the components about the change, and the component renders to show the updated information. That's fantastic, right? So that's the natural choice for you. And the second design um strategy that you wanted to use is no, again, to surface the custom component inside account record page, because that's what Kali wanted. Inside the account record page, you wanted to have this component put, allowing the agents to quickly create contact and associate the contact with the account concerned. So that's fantastic. Fine. And the third one is the toast message. So as Kali, you say explore has asked you to explore all the possibilities. You'll have to really look at how many different ways that you can show the message to the agents, right? So we will explore that. And the third one is to automatically navigate to the contact record page, navigate the agents to the contact record page. So after sifting through, you understood that you need to make use of page reference types, and there are multiple page reference types that you can create, and one among them is record page type. So we'll look at those as we navigate deep into the code. And this is the design. The design is complete. Now let's move on to the implementation. Let me flip over to the developer console. So I've already created this component. What I will be doing is to walk you through some of the critical parts of this code. Okay, so that's the component. So we have two elements to it, the component element and the controller element. So component element is pretty simple. Some of the key things I wanted to highlight here is the interface flexi-page available for record home. So this interface is pretty critical because inside the Lightning app builder, right? So if you wanted this component to be available to be dragged and dropped inside your account record page, this interface is critical or indispensable. And the second one, the marker interface, force has record ID. So this is also pretty crucial, because we will be leveraging the accounts ID, the row ID of the account in context, and in order to automatically populate the implicit record ID attribute. So you could say this record ID attribute, I haven't really defined this attribute anywhere inside my component, but I can readily use right away use the record ID implicit attribute. So this attribute gets populated with the row ID of the account in context. And in order to enable this, you need to include this marker interface force has record ID. Okay, that's one thing. And second, this is again another marker interface has s object name, which obviously gives you the API name of the object in context. And apart from that, I've also included the notifications library. So including this, ideally brings in a lot many JavaScript APIs under the hood. We'll be making use of one such API to show the notification. And the second one is the Lightning navigation component, which helps with the navigation. Okay, so from the component into the contact record page. So that navigation service is provided through this component. And here inside the Lightning record edit form, the key thing to note is the first line here, input Lightning input field account ID. So this represents the foreign key on your account. You also call it as a relationship field on your contact. The account ID is the foreign key on your contact object. And what you're trying to do here is populating the contact's account ID with the row ID of the account. Okay, so this is the implicit attribute we spoke about earlier. And apart from this, these are quite normal. The first name field, last name field, and email you wanted to project to the user, to the sales agent to enter, and the button with type equal to submit, which does the trick of persisting the contact record inside the database. So that's the walkthrough of the component. Let's look at the controller. Okay, let's look at this controller. This controller is called, say, the controller is called not from this button, but you have this event on success event. So this event is fired when your contact record is saved successfully. Okay, so after you save it, you have this event firing, and you have a return and handler. As and when this event fires, this handler gets invoked, and this is what you see inside the handler. Okay, so handle on success, you pass in component, event, and helper. These are dependency injected objects. And the first thing is you wanted to show a toast message. Okay, so let's look at that. So I'm just okay. So I will look at the toast message. The second option is the second option. Okay, so let's run through the code now. So idea is to dynamically, dynamically trying to pull the the attributes from the response. Okay, so what I have done is I've used the event reference to the event which triggered this particular JavaScript controller method, and I use get param from the response object, and I push that into the record. And from the record, I am able to extract the object's API name, which is a contact, right? Which is the contact here, because we are looking at the contact record. And second is, this is pretty fascinating, because you are also able to retrieve the contact's row ID using record.id. So I push that into these two JavaScript variables, API name and contact record ID. And for the debugging purposes, I write to the log. And this is pretty important, because if you wanted to navigate, right? So from this component, I wanted to navigate to the contact record page, the contact record page of the contact that just got created. Okay, so in order to do it, you typically need to create a page reference object. Let me quickly run through that. So the page reference object, okay, the page reference object types. So these would help your component, let's say your component, to navigate to several different resources. Let's say from a component, you can navigate to an app, then knowledge article, login page, then object page, several other resources. And the item which interests us is the record page, because our idea is once a contact record gets created, we wanted the agents to be navigated to the contacts record page. Okay, so this interests us. Let's see how this gets constructed, the page reference type objects, how this gets constructed. Let's look at this one. So record page type. Okay, so what it takes is this is the type, this is a type attribute, standard record page, and we need to populate these three properties. So action name, object API name, and record ID. Okay, so object API name is not required, but um, for especially for the lookups. But I'm populating all the three because I'm able to get the details dynamically from the event, through the event, right? So action name. So the valid values that you could set is clone, edit, and view. In this case, it's going to be view, because I am looking at the record detail page. And the object API name is contact, of course, and record ID is the row ID of the contact. So all these three information we set inside of the page reference type object. And this is the object structure, the page reference type object structure, record ID, object API name, and action name. This is exactly what we'll be using inside our code. This is exactly what you see here. I assign the object to the page reference variable, and this is dynamically populated because I'm able to pull the record ID through the attributes of the event, object API name as well, and this, right? And once this is done, um, all I have is to get an handle to the notifications library that we defined here. So the notifications library, this is the notifications library. You could see that. I'm getting a handle to it and calling the show notice method with these properties: variant, header, and message. Okay, and that is one. And second is we also have a callback function. So this callback function is called once you dismiss the notification. So you have the OK button, you click the OK button, and immediately the callback function is called. And here what you do is you are trying to navigate. This is the line which helps you to navigate, and this line is executed once you click the OK button in the message dialog. Okay, so component.find nav service, we already have this component added, the nav service, the lightning navigation component, and you invoke the navigate method of it and provide the page reference object that you created earlier as an parameter. So that's it. The code is done. So let's the uh, look at this in action. I'm on the accounts tab. I'm drilling down on an account, and inside the account record page, I've already surfaced this component. I've dragged and dropped it into this page. You see this, and you also see that this is getting automatically populated. This is because of the line that you find here, the first line. Okay, that does the trick. Okay, account ID and the row ID of the account in context you populate. So that does the trick. And um, I'm creating a new record and being at edge.com. Click on save. Let's look at the notice. You could see the notice is shown. It has this, the title and the message. Voila, you will now be redirected to the contact detail page. The difference that you see here is the page is frozen, right? Doesn't have anything happening in the background, right? The page is frozen and it waits until the user presses the OK button, right? Once the user presses the OK button, you could see that this particular callback function gets invoked, and voila, you would be navigated to the detail page, contact detail page. Let's see that in action. Click on OK. Cool, it takes you to the contacts detail page, the contact that you just created, green, right? The green white. Fantastic. So let's look at the other way of navigation, because Kali had specifically asked you to explore the other ways. So in order to do this, I anticipated this and I already have the code ready. So just uncommenting the code. This is the toast message that I want to show. And all these things remains the same. And instead of the notice, right, all I have to do is to uncomment this line of code, right? So once notice is shown, once the toast is shown, all other remains the same, and immediately I get an handle to the nav service and and navigate to the page reference. Let's check this out. Move back again. Any of the account record you have, uh, and make use of this component. Okay, James Story, James at com. Click on save. Okay, so the need is I need to refresh this once for the changes to take effect. Let me refresh this one more time and try to repeat the operation. Let's say any gene point. Let me check gene point, any account for that matter. harry@genepoint.com. Click on save. Now I'd see the toast message, and you would also see the navigation happening under the hood. So it doesn't, it's less intrusive. It doesn't really block. This is the second option that we could offer for Kali. Okay. So looking at the requirements, I believe that we have completed all. I had a demo with Kali. He is so happy. I'm happy. And we delivered it to the best of, you delivered it to the best of your knowledge and capabilities. Fantastic effort. Keep it rolling. I'll check with you with at one another micro project later. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.